Hello, artists! Last class we worked on stars in our drawings. And today we're going to continue doing that just for the first 5 or 10 minutes or so, just so that everybody can get caught up. I'm going to go over the different types of stars that we did. We have our circles, we have our 4-point stars, which you can do by either doing some curved lines or draw a plus sign. Some more dots. Remember, we want to take our time on these. You can also do, these almost look like snowflakes, just by doing straight lines that cross over. If you want, you can do some planets and go ahead and fill the planet in. Go over that any color you want. We can also do some galaxies. Maybe you want to start with a swirl, add some more swirls. I like to add a bunch of colors on top of my galaxies. These really make them look like Milky Ways or galaxies. We've got our other different type of star. Remember, if you do this type of star, you really want to color that in. And lastly, if you are all done with these, go ahead and take a silver Sharpie. We do not want to dot really fast. We want to make sure that we go slow and do directed dots, maybe make some different sizes. Go ahead and pause the video now to finish this up. Hello again, artists, and today we are going to be focusing on drawing our planets. So the first thing you're going to do is take a scrap piece of paper. You're going to do in a pencil. I'm doing it in Sharpie so that you can see what I'm doing. We want to start with our circles. And if you mess up, you can always try again. This is why we're doing it in pencil first. We don't want to make them super tiny, and we do not want to make them super big. Try to make them about even. Maybe trace the bottom of your water bottle for this. Go ahead and take your pastels. And I've chosen pink as my base. So I'm going to choose a darker color to be the shadow. Again, I'm going to use the side of my pastel, and I'm going to go in a C motion. So imagine that you're writing the letter C on the bottom of your planet. Notice I'm not filling in my entire planet. Then you can go ahead, take your finger, and just blend that out. Yep, so just a C on the bottom of your planet. Now we're going to go up to the top in a lighter color. This is going to be a highlight. And I'm going to do an O, and I can take my finger and blend that out as well. So I'm going to do my C and my O for blending. This is really going to make it dimensional. Then you can go ahead and take your scissors once you are done. Tap off any extra chalk dust and go ahead and cut out your planet. And the reason we don't want to make these super big either is because we want to make about 3 or 4 planets to put on our papers. You're not going to be gluing these down, so do not glue them down today. We are just making our planets today, and we'll paperclip them to our page next class, or at the end of class. So there we go. I've got one. I'm going to choose a cool color for this. So I just did a warm color. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose a cool color for this. And let's see. I'm going to draw that. I'm just going to check to see how big that is compared to my first one. That's a little big. So I'm going to go ahead and make my circle smaller. That's much better. Notice how this one is a little bigger, so I might want to have some different sized planets in my drawing. Now I'm going to go ahead again with a dark color. Let's see, which color am I going to choose? Dark blue, great color. I'm going to go ahead with my C. We're going to start off with our C on the bottom of our planet. Just like that. Make sure you get this super dark. And then blend it out. And if you've got some chalk on your fingers already, don't worry. Now I want to go in with an O. I'm going to use green as my highlight because green is lighter than the base color that I've chosen. It's still a cool color, but it's lighter. And I'm going to go ahead and blend that out too. So now you can see it almost looks like my planet is three-dimensional, which is super cool. Go ahead and pat that excess dust off. And then I'm going to go back in and cut. And friends, I forgot to mention this earlier, but on the back of your planet, take your pencil. Do not do this in Sharpie. Take your pencil and write your name on the back. This is going to make sure that if we lose our planets or if they get separated from our project, that we know whose planets goes to who. Go ahead and pause the video now to work on your planets. For cleanup, you're going to go ahead and make sure all of your pastels are back in the box so that you can close it properly. Then you're going to take a paper clip, and I'm going to stack all of my planets on top of each other, take my paper clip, and paper clip them together so that I don't lose any of my planets for next class. Hello, artists! Last class we worked on our planets, and this class we are going to be learning how to make symmetrical rocket ships. Let's get started. We're going to start off by looking at some symmetrical shapes. Symmetrical means that it is the same on both sides. So if I drew a line down the middle, I would have matching halves. A triangle is symmetrical. A half circle is symmetrical. An oval is symmetrical. And all of these shapes we can use making our rocket ship stencils today. We can make a rectangle. That's also symmetrical. You can come up with your own shapes as well that are symmetrical. And you'll see why we need to. Taking a square of paper, we're going to go ahead and draw a line straight down the middle so that we have matching halves so that our paper is symmetrical. Now I'm going to go ahead and start drawing some shapes, putting some shapes together to build my rocket ship. I'm going to start with a dome. And you're going to try to put these exactly on the line so that they are half and half. You can see that half of my dome is on one side and half of my dome is on the other. I'm going to do an oval split in half. Maybe I want to do, I think this is a rhombus with a zigzag line. Then I'll draw two more lines and another line for my rhombus. You can see my rocket ship is not exactly symmetrical. Then I want to draw some triangles. Maybe this is where I blast off from. And you can see I don't want to make the point where my little triangles hit the top of my spaceship super tiny because they're going to fall off if I do that. So now that I've drawn this, I'm going to go ahead and fold my paper in half so that my drawing is on the outside. And to do that, you're going to line up the edges and corners, and then take your finger and run it across the line. If where you drew your symmetrical line is not perfect, that is a-okay. But you'll see that I have half a rocket ship and another half of a rocket ship. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors, and I'm going to cut out the side. So just focus on one side, and it's not going to match up perfectly, and that is a-okay. So I'm going to cut all the way around. You can see that I'm actually turning my paper while I cut, and turning my paper is going to make it super easy to cut and give us really even lines. So we're going to go ahead, cut, cut, cut. And now when I open up my spaceship, I will have a symmetrical spaceship. So you can see that both halves are exactly the same. And if they don't match up with your initial drawing perfectly, that is okay. We just want something that is symmetrical. Now, using some more shapes, go ahead and make some more rocket ships. You can see I've used some diamonds, I've used some lines here. So some puffy lines. Pause now and get to work. Hello artists, and today we are going to be using our stencils. You're going to do this in pencil, but you're going to take a new scrap paper of any color that you like, and using a pencil, not a Sharpie, you're going to outline your rocket ship onto a new scrap piece of paper. You can see that I am very carefully moving my hand so that I am never picking up or kind of adjusting my stencil. This is going to make sure that my stencil looks super clean and I get really nice lines all the way around. Now that I've got that, I can go ahead and take my scissors and, just like I did with my stencil, cut it out. You're going to be doing these in pencil, not Sharpie, so you won't see all of the thick lines on the edge. And go ahead and do that with all of the rockets that you made. When you're done, you should have 3 different colored rocket ships. Once you've got your 3 rocket ships, flip them over and make sure that you write your name on each rocket ship. This is so that if these get misplaced or lost, we know exactly whose rocket ships go to who. Now that we've finished all that, we're going to go ahead and go back to our projects. I'm going to collect all of my rocket ships with my names on them, and I'm going to paperclip those to my project as well. Pause now to go ahead and do this step. Hello artists! Today we're going to go ahead and learn about how to decorate our rocket ships. We can use a bunch of different types of lines like zigzags, swirls, maybe you want to do a pattern, some loops. You can use any type of line that you would like to decorate your rocket ship. You can see that I've used a bunch of different lines in here. I've even used some shapes in some situations. So let's go ahead and practice with our first one. I'm going to take my red Sharpie, and not every color might show up, and that's okay. But I'm going to start by just outlining that oval that I drew, and I'm going to draw some patterns here with my lines. So these are just 2 lines together that go up, and I'm going to do that all across. Very cool. Now I can go in, maybe I want to do some pink, and I'm going to go in with a zigzag on the middle of my rocket ship. Once I've done that, I'm going to take my silver Sharpie and just draw some straight lines going right up. I can go in with some dots, make those really nice, adding some pattern into my project. Now I can go in with my blue, and I'm going to add some wavy lines on the bottom. See how this is looking like a really crazy spaceship? I want to see some awesome spaceships from all of you, using lots of things that we've already learned in class. Go ahead and take the rest of today to finish up your rocket ships and add all the details and all of the lines and awesome color that you want. Happy drawing!